Welcome to this next session of Port and Harbour Engineering. We are continuing with the impact analysis chapter, and of the two aspects, we have completed the first aspect, that is related to the cost of the port project, and we have seen in detail the benefit by cost method in the previous session. Which are the various costs which we have to include and which are the various benefits. Now, the second aspect of this chapter, that is related to the environmental impact. So, what is the environmental impact and which are the various considerations which we have to keep in mind regarding the environment that we will be seeing. So, let us begin with the second part and with the last part of this chapter of impact analysis, that is the environmental assessment. So, beginning with the environmental impact of the port activities. Impacts due to the project location are generally irreversible and cannot be mitigated through environmental enhancement measures. Now, mitigate means to reduce. So, the impact due to the project location, that is the specific site which we have chosen, the specific sort of area which we have chosen, the impact due to it are generally irreversible, that is they can't be changed and cannot be reduced through the environmental enhancement measures. Enhancement means to improve, so they can't generally be improved through the environmental measures. Impacts related to construction are generally short term, that is the effect due to the constructional aspect of the port are generally of shorter duration, which can be reduced to a large extent by observing precautionary measures. So, at the time of construction, if we observe certain precautionary measure, then their impact can be reduced or can be mitigated. Impacts during the operation phase can be mitigated following environmental management plan. So, firstly we talked about the site location, that it is irreversible and cannot be reduced. Then during the construction it can be reduced up to a certain extent, and the major impact which we can have or the major changes which we can make regarding to the environmental aspect, that is during the operational phase. Impact on water quality. Now we are going to see the various impacts of the port activities on the surroundings. So, what will be the, first of all, we are beginning with the impact on water quality. If you are constructing a port, then it has effect on various aspects, be it air, water, noise, land. So, there will be various impacts of the port activity. So, one by one we will be seeing its impact on various parameters. So, first of all is regarding the water. So, the impact on water quality. Impacts from the operational phase of the project. Here we will be focusing on the operational phase, the reason which we have already seen in the first three lines. So, focusing on the operational phase will be on marine water, including the effluents, oily waste. Oily waste means the lubricating oil which can be released from the industries or the factories, or the residues from the machineries. Residues means the waste, the slurry, the liquid waste which has been generated from the functioning of the machineries. Sewage or the cargo spillage. Now, basically if we talk about the water impact of the activities, port activities, then it deals with the effluents. Effluents means those waste which are being sort of released in the water body. So, these are the various examples, that is oily waste, or the sewage is there, it might be the domestic sewage or it might be an industrial sewage, or the spillage of cargo. Spillage means the oil through the movement of the ship has been released, or it has been sort of, it might be intentionally or unintentionally spread in the water body in the large quantity. So, this is the main aspect. Next, now talking about the mitigation measures, that is which measures or which activities can we do so as to reduce the effect of this effluent, reduce the effect of this waste on the water body which are being generated from the port activities. An aerated lagoon. Now, this is an aerated lagoon. Aerated means here it has been written artificial aeration has been done Aerated means the movement of air is being done to promote the biological oxidation. Lagoon is sort of a shallow water body in which generally the water is in the less amount and generally the water is stationary. So this is sort of an aerated lagoon. Here the artificial aeration, that is intentionally we are carrying out the aeration process, we are providing the air to promote the biological oxidation. Now biological oxidation basically deals with the aspect of environmental engineering, but in general terms we are sort of providing oxygen so as to carry out certain activities which might lead to the treatment of that specific waste. So it can be provided for the treatment of the effluent. So we want to treat the effluent which has reached into the water body from the domestic source, and the settled sludge can be dried. Now, whenever we carry out the oxidation process, the sludge will be generated. So sort of a slurry will be generated, which will be having the soil components, it will be having water, it will be having the waste, that is the organic waste, it will be having certain inorganic waste. So that settled sludge, settled means that sludge, that slurry which has stayed at the bottom. To settle means it has, due to the increase in density, it has sort of been deposited at the bottom. So the settled sludge which has been obtained can be dried in the sludge drying beds. So specifically, this also is an aspect of the environmental engineering. Sludge drying beds, these are specifically the area which are allocated where the wet sludge is taken, it is sort of dumped, it is sort of laid at that specific point, and after the drying, we are generating this manure or sort of a fertilizer is created. So this wet sludge, wet slurry, which we will obtain from the biological oxidation in the aerated lagoon, that will be taken to the sludge drying bed. The drying process will be carried out, and then it will be converted into manure or fertilizer, which can be used for the agricultural productivity. Effluent from the workshop or the oil storages will contain oil and the grease particles. Collected oily matter is stored in cans and disposed of at the authorized waste recycling. So, if there are effluents from the workshop, then generally it will have more proportion of grease or oil. So, they can be collected. We can sort of collect that specifically oil particle, and we can store them in certain cans, and then later they can be disposed of for the recycling process. Any kind of spill, release and other pollution is to be reported promptly to the nearby authority to take the appropriate action. Now, first of all, let us see, this is a sludge drying bed. So this sludge drying bed which we have seen here, the sludge which has been generated from the aerated lagoon is sort of dispatched here, it is laid here, and to the natural drying process it is converted into manure. And next, that is if any spillage is taking place, that is if there is sort of any not needed incident has taken place, and due to that if there is any spillage of oil has taken place in the large amount, then that has to be reported to the authority so that the prompt action can be taken. Storm water drain shall be made to collect runoff from the drain. Runoff means that water which has not infiltrated into the soil. So what might happen is that the runoff might mix with the particles which are unwanted, and again that might flow as effluent into the water body. So drains should be provided so that we can drain off, we can remove off the runoff from the port itself, and to make sure that that effluent does not get mixed with the water body. Next, talking about the impact on air quality. So we have seen firstly about the impact on water. Now let us talk about the impact on air. Major source of air pollution during the operational phase include the vehicle traffic to the service cargo at port, that is the movement of the ship, the movement of vessel which will be taking place. Due to that movement, the smokes will be generated. Emission from the port equipments, so the equipment equipments which are kept at the port, they will also be generating the smokes into the air. Cargo handling and the fuel burning, due to the burning of the fuel, due to the handling of the cargo also, the air pollution will take place. Mitigation measures, that is which measures we should take to reduce the effect on air. A system consisting of the pumps or the storage tank for dust suppression, suppress means to sort of make it settle. So tank for the dust suppression at the discharge feeding points of belt conveyors will be provided at each transfer tower for dust control. What is meaning of this line? Feeding points means that points which is sort of giving or which is sort of releasing the particles into the air. So what we can do is that at this discharge feeding points, the releasing points, we can provide a storage tank, we can provide a pump facility, or we can provide a storage tank which will sort of make the dust particles which are getting released to settle. So they will not go into the air. So that sort of a tank can be provided to make sure that the particles don't go into the air, they get settled at those specific points. And so for that, we can provide these various towers which can be connected for the dust control. Suitable spray system can also be provided at the ship unloader. So what happens that due to the spray system, the air particles which are in the suspension, they will also get settled. So we are not allowing those particles to go into the air. So through the spray system, we can make the particles to get settled. So that also can be used. All vehicles shall have the valid PUC certificate, that is the pollution under control certificate, and it has to be made compulsory for the regular maintenance. So that will also keep the air quality in check. For wind generated dust, windshield with a wire mesh fencing up to height of 10 meter around the stockyard shall be installed. Now this is an image for this windshield. So where there is a stockyard, the stockyard means where the piling of the commodities or cargo is being done. So where the piling is being done, where the more movement of cargo is being taking place, then there more dust will be generated. So a fence of 10-meter height, that is a windshield, can be prepared. It can be fenced on the periphery or on the circumference, and what will happen is that it will not allow the movement of the dust. It will not allow the movement of the dust which is being generated into the widespread area. So it will keep the dust which is being generated into check in that specific sort of area only. Next is the impact on the noise quality. Noise due to equipment and vehicles and human activities are the chief sources. So basically, three aspects, that is the equipment, vehicle or the ship or the vessel, and the human activity at the port. These are the main sources. Increased level of noise depends upon the volume of traffic that is visiting the port, the road condition, that is the land condition which we are having in the port area. What is the road condition? Vehicle condition, that is condition of the ship or the vessel itself, speed of the ship, and what is the congestion of the traffic, that is how much amount of ship or how much amount of vessel are existing at that specific point of time. Mitigation measures, that is again which measures which we can take to reduce the effect of the port activities on the quality of the sound. Noise level of the port equipment shall conform to the relevant standards prescribed in the environment protection rules. So the value of the noise which is being generated should not exceed the values which have been given in the environment protection rules. So it should conform, it should match, or it should be below those specific maximum standard values. Workers shall not be exposed to the noise level more than permitted for industrial premises. So in the codes, in the environment protection rules, the specific noise in terms of decibels is given. So the workers should not be exposed to the noise exceeding that maximum standard value. Exposure of workers near high noise level areas can be minimized. That can be achieved by job rotation or use of earplugs. So if the staff is less, if one has to continuously work at the port, then the earplugs can be used, or job rotation can be done. That is, a specific duration for working can be fixed and the rotation of the workmen can be done. Regular maintenance of all vehicles and machinery shall be compulsory, that is to make sure that they don't create much higher amount of noise. The vehicles or the ship and the equipments or machinery should be maintained regularly. Next is the impact on the ecology. It deals with the effect or impact of the port activities on those creatures which are living in the water body. Major impacts are anticipated from the vessel movement, cargo handling at the port, and the wastewater discharge from the port. That is the wastewater which is being generated from the port activities. It's discharged into the water body, and also due to the maintenance dredging. So the disturbance which has been created due to the maintenance dredging operation, which we have already studied. These are the main various sources which affect the ecology. Release of heavy metals, chemicals and compounds from cargo in long run may cause bioaccumulation of these substances in sediment or water body. Now, the metals which are being released due to the movement of the ship in the water body, the chemicals and compounds which are being released continuously whenever it is making the movement in the water body, in the long run, that is after certain years, after long period of time, it might cause the bioaccumulation. Now, what is bioaccumulation? These toxic chemicals or toxic metals, what happens is that first of all, they will be consumed by the very small creatures, and after consuming that, those components, those metals or chemicals will enter into the body of the small creatures. Then the moderate creatures, the medium sized creatures living in the water body will eat the small sized creatures. So again, their toxic components will be transferred towards the medium sized creatures. Then the large sized creatures who will be feeding on the average sized creatures. Again, after feeding those average sized creatures, the biomass will get accumulated into the larger sized creatures, and as the fisheries are also used as a source of food. So that toxic chemicals or that toxic compounds which were released in the water body, which were first eaten by the small creatures, which were then eaten by the average size creatures, and then followed by the large size creatures, those compounds, those heavy metals, those toxic materials will lastly end up into the human body. So that is regarding what bioaccumulation is. That is, those various toxic materials are ultimately getting accumulated, ultimately finishing off into the human body. So that is sort of great concern. Constituents of oil are toxic to marine life. That is, they might lead to the fatality of the marine creatures, and release of oil contents onto water will result in formation of a shining film on the surface of water. So if the oil contents are being released in the water body, it will create a thin film on the surface of water, which will prevent the dissolution of oxygen across the surface of water. So if a film is created on the surface of water, what will happen is that due to the film, it will prevent the dissolution of oxygen into the water body, and that might again create fatality for the marine creatures. Also, oil gets accumulated on body of species of fish or birds, reducing their ability to maintain the body temperature. So as the oil spillage, if it is taking place, it will end up on the body of fish or on the body of birds, and it will sort of reduce their ability to maintain their temperature. So that will sort of create again a problem to the livability of those creatures. Mitigation measures include, in case of the oil spillage, which is a main concern, we have to inform the authority, because ultimately if we talk about the points here, both the points, last two points are related to the oil spillage. So how sort of havoc creating situation it is of the spillage of oil into the water body. So that has to be first of all informed, and prompt action will be needed. All recovered oily material shall be disposed of properly, either to the waste dealers or dumped in the secure landfill sites. So whichever oily material has been obtained by carrying out the operation of separating the oil from the water body, uh, though that amount of quantity shall be dispatched, that is to the waste dealer, or it should be dumped at the specific site which is allocated for the dumping operation. Regular drill for oil spill containment shall be conducted and any lag shall be recorded and corrected. So regularly a certain duration should be fixed, and periodically in that duration one should make drill regarding to check whether oil spillage is taking place or not, and if oil spillage has taken place then what is its extent, and prompt measures for the correction of that measure or correction of that activity shall be done. Next is the impact on land and soil. Proposed port is planned on reclaimed land between low and high water line. So, reclaim means to gain again. So, if the land level has been reduced, then what we do is that in reclamation of land, we increase the level of land. So, generally, if the level of port is reduced due to scouring action, due to erosion, then in the reclamation of land, by the filling operation of the land or soil, we increase the level of the land. So, port is generally planned between the low and higher water line, that is generally in the average range, the level of the port is sort of planned. Does not have much of vegetation except some afforestation carried out by the forest department. So, generally if we talk about the surrounding area of the port site, then there is not much availability of the vegetative cover. Only a few vegetative cover will be there, very rare vegetative cover will be there due to some afforestation. Afforestation means the activity of the planting of the trees. So if that activity has been done, then a bit amount of vegetative cover will be there. Present vegetation is planned to act as the wind breakers. Now we are planting vegetation to act as wind breakers. So what happens is that if we have the vegetative cover, or if the trees are present, if we carry out the afforestation activity, then wind breakers means we are sort of creating an obstruction for the movement of wind. So as you can see that here, if the vegetative cover is there, trees are planted, then they will act as a barrier to the movement of wind. So if there is a high wind is there near the port, and if the vegetative cover is there, it will protect that specific site area from the effect of the high intensity wind. And if no such cover is there, then all those high intensity wind will enter into the specific port site, and that might create a problem. So here, as we can see, that the wind direction is being sort of diverted. Diversion of the movement of the wind is taking place due to afforestation. Plantation will also protect the erosion of the shoreline. So we already know that to protect erosion of the soil, we have to do the plantation. So again, that will be a benefit as well. Soil contamination may be caused from the roadside litter. That is, if we are throwing the waste material anyhow, then that will contaminate the soil. Oil spillage from the machinery. So if the equipments are there and they are continuously spilling the oil into the soil, then again those toxic materials will enter into the soil. Sanitation and the waste disposal. That is, if the proper measure is not being adopted and directly the waste is being disposed of into the soil, then also those toxic materials will enter into the soil. And spillage of the hazardous chemical. That is, if a sort of any chemical heavy metal is there which is hazardous, if that has been spilled into the soil, then that also will reduce the characteristics of the soil. Mitigation measures, first and foremost, that is the vegetative clearance shall be minimum. That is, the deforestation operation, that is the removal of the vegetative cover, should be as less as possible. Replantation shall be done. That is, if a situation arises that we have to cut the trees or if we have to remove the vegetation in a certain stretch, then replantation shall be done in the another area or in the nearby stage. So the trees which have been removed, or if the vegetative cover which has been removed, should be taken care of. It should be planted at some another specific location or area. All waste has to be collected without dumping in land or water. So instead of directly dumping the waste into the soil, it should be collected and it should be disposed of at the specific dumping site only. Waste from labor camps or one generated during the construction shall be disposed of properly. So instead of haphazard manner, the waste which is being generated at the specific site that should be collected and again should be dumped at the specific dumping site only and not on the land or in the soil. Next and last is the impact on visual quality, that is the impact on the aesthetics. Lighting from the night operation may cause nuisances to the nearby community. So if there is a stray light, if there is a continuous lighting in a haphazard manner during the night operation without any need, then that might be a nuisance to the surrounding area of the port. Staking of waste from the port activities, that is staking means sort of piling up. So piling up of the waste which has been generated on the port activity, instead of disposing it, if we are staking it, if we are piling the waste, then that will sort of be a hindrance to the pleasant view. Also, the smoke from the ship gives an unpleasant impression. It is also a thing which is hindering the aesthetic of the specific port site. Mitigation measures includes appropriate location of port which can reduce the effect. So, sort of selecting the port site in such a way, because that cannot be altered. Once the site is selected, we cannot alter it. So, at the time of choosing the site, at the time of choosing the location or area, if we keep the aesthetics in mind, then that can be a good measure for sort of improving its appearance. May be possible to design the storage area not visible from road or the nearby locality. So, designing the storage area in such a way that whenever the movement is taking place onto the roads which are present nearby or the locality, the surrounding area which is present cannot see that storage area, then that will also remove the aesthetic viewpoint. Why? Because a certain thing which cannot be seen cannot be talked of. So if we talk about aesthetics, then we have to see something to talk about its aesthetic. So if we are designing the storage area in such a way that they cannot be seen from the roadside or it cannot be seen from the surrounding area, then we need not worry about the aesthetics because it will not be visible. Green belt zone around a port may block or reduce an unpleasant view. Green belt zone is a sort of, in general terms, a border or a sort of, we can say, plantation of vegetative cover in a belt, in a stretch in the surrounding area. So cultivating this vegetative cover, sort of preparing a belt, a zone, specific stretch, specific location or specific area of the vegetative cover surrounding the port will also be a very pleasant view, or it will improve the aesthetic of the port. And also it will take care of the unpleasant view, it will sort of mitigate, reduce the unpleasant view surrounding the port. So that's it for this session. In this session, we have discussed in detail the environmental impact of the port activities. First, we have seen about the impact on water, then second was air, third was noise, fourth was land and soil, fifth was ecology, sixth was the aesthetics or the visual quality. So we have seen in detail all these various 6 aspects related to the environmental impact assessment of the port activities. So that was it regarding the second part of the impact analysis chapter. So both the parts are over. In the last session, we discussed in detail regarding the cost aspect, and in this session, we have discussed in detail regarding the environmental aspect. So that is it for this chapter of impact analysis.